And so, hello to the folks that just joined us. Really glad to have all of you here this evening. And I am coming to you from unceded Anishinaabe Algonquin territory. And I kind of wish you were here with me in my living room. There's a beautiful sunset just coming in through the black walnut tree, and it's just looking really, really lovely here. Lovely end of the day. And so we are we're here this evening in this space together to explore our climate emotions, to learn a little bit more, and really to connect with ourselves and to support one another. And there are two main parts that I want to bring us through this evening. The biggest part is around coping with and feeling and moving through our emotions, moving through our feelings, and just having different tools to do that in a healthy way, in a safe way. And then the other piece that I think is really important when I think about the climate, when I think about coping, it's really about taking action. And so just really empowering ourselves and having a sense that we can make a difference, that we have choice, that we can in our daily lives do meaningful things to support ourselves, to support our communities, and contribute to the life around us. And so that's kind of the overall flow of where I want to bring us this evening, is just a big space to explore and feel and hopefully really connect with our feelings and and move back into a grounded space, in back into a peaceful, connected, centered space within ourselves as we're moving in and out of feeling emotions that might be uncomfortable. And then also wrapping up towards the end and just exploring actions that we can each take to support ourselves. So just around self-care, around community care, and around earth care. And so what I want to start with right now is I'm going to share my screen. And because we're going to be talking a lot about, or not, I'm not going to be talking a lot. This I really want the session to be very participatory. And so we're going to be exploring climate emotions. And what I'd like is for us to take a moment to look at this list of feelings that are here on this slide. The feelings that I have on this slide, so this comes from nonviolent communication, which was a toolkit, an approach that was developed by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. And And the feelings that I have specifically on this slide are feelings that we have when our needs are not satisfied. And so we sometimes think of these as negative feelings. They're not necessarily, for me, and in this approach, feelings are not necessarily positive or negative. They're really just an indication of our needs being met or our needs not being met. And I think we can tend to think of the feelings that we're uncomfortable with, or that are maybe challenging for us when our needs are not met. We can think of them as negative, and also there we can reframe it as an opportunity to really connect a little bit more deeply with ourselves, to come into presence with our experience and our needs and what's meaningful and important to us in this very moment. And so I want to just invite all of us. And so again, as I mentioned before, our session this evening is going to be really participatory. And so take a moment and please look through the feelings on this list and just check in with yourself right now. So when you think about the climate, when you think about the state of the earth, how are you feeling? And so just choose one, and then you might be feeling a whole bunch of different things. So I'm going to invite you just to choose two feelings, just to keep it really simple. What are two feelings that really jump out for you right now? And I want to ask you to just note for yourself. And so I'm going to ask you to write this down and also put this in the chat. So, how are you feeling? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is that feeling? So, with 1 being, kind of imagine the volume like really, really, really quiet, and that feeling is pretty subtle and subdued, and 10 being really, really, really intense. And so, for example, for myself, when I think about the state of the climate right now, and I think about the state of the earth, I feel I feel scared and I feel nervous. Actually, I'm going to say anxious instead. So scared and anxious. And so for me, I think the scared is a little bit more quiet than the anxious. The scared is maybe I'm going to say a 3 out of 10, and the anxious right now feels kind of like a 6 out of 10. So I'm going to ask everybody to please look through the list and choose one or two feelings and write it down for yourself as well too, because we're going to come back to this later. And I'm going to also ask you to please put into the chat. You can put in one of those feelings or both of those feelings, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? What's the volume or the intensity of that feeling right now? Hmm. So unsettled, 7 out of 10. Heartbroken, 9 out of 10. Yeah. Mm, I hear you. Burnt out, 6 out of 10. Anxious, 7 out of 10. Yeah. And for the folks, if there are folks who are on this call that are on their phones and they're not on a device where you can actually type, then I still would really encourage you to do these exercises and just write this up on a piece of paper beside you. So a couple more coming in on the chat. So discouraged, 5 out of 10. Anxious, 9 out of 10. Mhm. Yeah. Nervous, 7 out of 10. Distressed, 8 out of 10. Mm. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for showing up with your hearts. And so what we're gonna do now is I'm going to so please make sure that you have your those feelings written down beside you. So I'd like you to be able to turn away from the screen. I'm going to lead us in an exercise, and I'm going to invite us to really be in the privacy of our own space for this exercise. So for anyone who has their camera on, I invite you to turn your camera off now and just to really, really be allow this to be a personal time for yourself to connect with these some of these feelings that we've named. So this the feeling of being heartbroken and burnt out and anxious and distressed. So all of these feelings. And before we dive into this exercise, I just want us to, because we're going to be in this exercise for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to be, I'm going to be guiding us through connecting with these feelings that we've identified, and then coming back into, coming back into our bodies, moving a little bit just to kind of loosen things, let go of tension, and also connect with a happy place in ourselves. And so what so before we start the exercise, what I want us to just take a moment to identify for ourselves is to think about something that makes you feel happy or peaceful or hopeful. And so an example that I have is when I basically if so are there any Harry Potter fans out there? So maybe put a thumbs up or put a yes in the chat. So I'm thinking about Harry's Patronus. And so when he learned from Lupin to cast his Patronus spell, the it was yeah, I love Harry Potter. And so when he was taught to cast his Patronus spell, Lupin tried to encourage Harry to think about happy memories. Like, what was his happiest memory? And he kept having to when Harry was learning to cast the spell, he kept having to look like he came up with a happy memory. And then as he cast the spell was kind of weak. And so then he tried to actually, was it the Patronus or was it the I think it was the Patronus. It was the Patronus. And then it was kind of weak. And so he had to find a happier memory. And so just take a moment for yourself to really think of something. Connect with and it could be a memory or it could just be a happy place that you go in your life. Like, it could be kind of a something that you imagine, a fantasy, a perfect day that you have or that you had. Just think about something that really, really makes your heart bubble. And it could have been like, "Oh, yeah, I had this amazing experience." Maybe it was like the best it was one of my favorite days ever. Maybe it was a birthday and I had lots of, family and friends there, or maybe it was just a magical experience when, maybe a good friend had a baby, or I don't know, just like something that really, really makes your heart bubble. So can everybody think of an experience like that? Because I just want to make sure that everyone has a memory or an experience or an something that that you can imagine to help you get to that happy place when you're going to practice casting your Patronus. Does everyone have one of those? So can you just either put a thumbs up or put a yes, type a yes into the chat, please? I want to make sure that everyone has a happy, peaceful, bubbly something to turn to. So yes, I have a yes, and I would really appreciate hearing from everybody before I move on here. So please, either a thumbs up reaction or a yes. Got another yes, thank you. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. And I'm not going to ask you to share your happy. I just want you to have it for yourself. And so this this portion of our time is going to be we're going to be moving in and out of our climate emotions, moving. And so those emotions that you identified at the beginning, just being aware of those. And so what I want us to start with. So let's just start with let's just take a moment right now. So I invite you to get comfortable, and throughout this exercise it's going to be that we're going to be doing a little bit of movement, a little bit of focusing on our breathing. And so probably stay either seated or you can stand up, though you probably don't want to lie down because we won't be lying down for very long. um, and so just take a moment, whether you're sitting or standing, just to either close your eyes or just to let the gaze be really soft, and just take a moment to come into the breath and just notice your breath in this moment, however it is, noticing how it feels to breathe right now as the breath comes into the body and as the breath leaves the body, just feeling the belly and the chest fill with the breath and feeling the belly and the chest empty. And just taking this moment to bring our attention to the body. So noticing our toes and our feet and our ankles and just any sensation that might be there. And so just with this noticing right now, we're just asking our mind, our attention to be present without any judgment, and just noticing our calves, our lower legs, our knees, just whatever sensations that might be there. Noticing the thighs, the upper legs, and the hips. Coming into the belly and the lower torso, and just noticing whatever is there, just with compassion, just with acceptance. So, noticing our bellies, noticing our chest, noticing our back, noticing our shoulders, just bringing the attention to the upper arms and the elbows, bringing the attention to the lower arms, the wrists, and the hands. And just all of this, again, noticing just with compassion, with curiosity, with acceptance, noticing the neck, noticing the head, and then just very gently coming back into the breath and the sensations of the breath as we breathe in and as we breathe out. And so I invite us right now to, in this space of awareness, just taking a moment to move the body. And so in this last couple of minutes, we were kind of noticing the different parts of our body, and maybe there was tension, maybe there is contraction, maybe there's, discomfort in certain parts of the body. And so I'm just inviting us in this moment just to, in the privacy of your own space, I cannot see you. None of us are, no one else is looking at you right now. And so just give your body permission to move out any of the tension that you might have been carrying from the day, any of the maybe the holding or the contraction that maybe you were feeling when you were just tuning into that when I first asked us to identify our climate emotions. And so just giving the body permission to move, to shake. So I'm sitting in front of the camera, so I'm not going to get up and shake my whole body, but sometimes shaking can really, really help. It can really help move the stress out of the nervous system and just kind of help to release some of if the stress response has been activated. So just shaking our hands, if you have enough space, and just kind of like shaking your legs and just letting yourself wiggle. So just, like the way that kids do, well, the way that little kids do when they're not feeling self-conscious, just let yourself wiggle it out right now. No one's looking at you. So just shaking, wiggling, whatever feels good right now. And then just slowly coming back into stillness, coming back into the breath for a moment. And now I invite you to think of your happy place. Think of your happy memory, to just feel that. Just really, really give your attention to making that memory vibrant and alive, or that experience, that happy, full, celebratory experience, having that just be full of juice, having that be full of life, and feel that in your body right now. Just feel that tingle of life energy, feel that tingle of joy, just feel that charge of happy, hopeful, excited, possible, that expansiveness. Just feel that in yourself. And then come back to the breath for a moment. So just come back into this neutral breath, noticing the in breath and the out breath. And so I'm going to ask us right now to connect with the climate emotion that we had identified at the beginning of our session together. And we're not going to stay here for very long right now. I just want us to touch into this and connect with this. So so take a moment right now to let your attention go to your concerns about the state of the earth, to think about the state of the climate, and just let yourself feel that. And just take, I know maybe it sounds like not a long time. I want to just really invite you to take one full intentional breath with that feeling. So without pushing that feeling away, if you can, just taking one full inhale and one full exhale with that feeling. And just noticing how that feeling is in your body right now. And we're just letting this go right now. So let's take a moment to move. So again, whatever your body is wanting right now, whatever you have space for, just shaking, wiggling, and just letting the sensation, letting any tension, any contraction, any bracing, just letting that, trying to just let that move through the body right now. You can stretch, you can jump on the spot, shake your arms, shake your neck, shake your legs. And then slowly coming back into stillness and remember that happy memory. So for the folks who joined us partway through this exercise, just we're looking for a really special happy moment in our lives that is just filled with juice, that is just filled with joy and possibility and hope and beauty and magic. And so whatever that is for you, just taking a moment to connect with this happy memory. Could have been just a magical day that you had with friends. It could have been this blissful moment that you had, maybe being out in the woods. And so, whatever it is, just taking a moment to connect with that memory or that experience of joy, that experience of aliveness, and just really feeling that in your body right now. So, when you connect with that happy place, when you connect with that happy experience, what do you notice in your body right now? Can you notice that buzz of life energy? Is there a color to it? Is there a texture or a flavor to it? Maybe there's a song that goes along with it. I don't know. Maybe there's a soundtrack. So just taking a moment to really drink in and remember and let your body just really rest in this happy memory, this happy experience. feeling that joy, feeling that aliveness, and then slowly just coming back into the breath. So just noticing again the in breath and the out breath. Noticing the in breath and just the sensations in the body as we breathe in, and the out breath, just physical sensations as we breathe out. And so now I'm going to invite us again to take a moment to connect with a feeling a bunch of feelings around the climate, around the earth. And so now, again, briefly, it's going to be a little bit longer this time. They're not very long. We're not going to stay here. So allowing our mind and our attention turn to our concerns about the state of the planet, about the present, about the future, our fears, our worries about the earth, what is being lost, what has been lost, what could be lost. And just taking a moment to notice these feelings. And it's probably just a whole mix of feelings. And just noticing that in the body. And this time, I just want to invite us to take two really intentional and gentle breaths to try and just to breathe with this experience, to breathe with these emotions without pushing the emotions away, without judging them, without changing anything right now. So just asking for two breaths as you breathe in, and just noticing and allowing those feelings, noticing and allowing those emotions and the sensations in the body. Breathing out. And then just another breath like that with your presence, with a compassionate presence, trying to just allow and accept this experience in this moment. And then now, just in the privacy of your own space, just moving. So just letting the body shake, shaking the hands and the arms, shaking the head, the torso, and the legs. So I'm not getting up to move with you, so you move however you need to. I'm just staying right here in front of the mic and in front of the webcam, and I just want you to really, really move this out. So let yourself wiggle. Like if you were 2 or 3 or 4, your body would know how to wiggle. Your body would know how to shake. So just move. Just let the discomfort, let the holding, let the tension, let the bracing, just move it out. Move it, move it, move it, move it, move it out. Wiggle it. Let your head hang down. Let your spine bend. Keep wiggling. Just move your shoulders. And just notice those parts of your body. I think we all have parts of our bodies that we kind of hold our tension or our stress. So just giving a little bit of extra attention to those places. Maybe is it your belly that holds tension? Maybe just massaging your belly a little bit. Or is it your shoulders that tend to hold tension? So just kind of giving your shoulders a squeeze. For some of us, it's maybe the jaw or the temples. And so just either, gently rubbing, or we can even pat those parts of our bodies just to bring a different sensation, to get the blood moving, to get the life force energy moving a little, and just giving yourself permission to do any other last wiggling and shaking in this moment. It doesn't have to look like anything. And then slowly coming into stillness in this moment, coming back into the breath. And so just taking 3 intentional breaths here. And as you're breathing, just noticing the physicality of your breath, noticing the in breath and the out breath as the breath fills the belly and the chest, and as the breath empties and leaves the belly and the chest. And so we're going to do this one last time now, just turning our attention to our climate emotions. And so for those of us who were here at the beginning of our session, turning back to those same feelings and just letting the mind, letting our minds come to our our worries, our concerns about the state of the world, maybe the scenarios that we invent in our minds, maybe the news stories we've seen, and just taking a moment to notice how this feels right now. So just noticing this in the body, and I just invite us to take 3 intentional, very loving, very compassionate breaths with these sensations. So do this for yourself. So all and if 3 is too much, then just stop at 1. That's perfectly fine. So if you can give yourself that that gift of compassionate presence and compassionate attention for 3 breaths without changing anything in those 3 breaths, just attending to and being aware of how this feels in this moment, this experience, whether it's an experience of anxiety or fear or feeling overwhelmed or hopeless, whatever that is. So just taking your 3 breaths and slowly as you're ready, just coming into movement again. So that just bringing the attention. Oh, so actually, sorry, I forgot before we come into movement. Um, Coming to the happy place. So I think I'm sorry if I forgot that earlier. So let's switch it up and bring our attention to that happy memory. And so when we feel more of the heaviness, sometimes it can be harder to feel the happy memory. So give that happy memory some juice. Remember what it was like. Just feel the fullness of that experience, whether it was an amazing experience with loved ones, or maybe you were alone in just in an incredible place out in the woods or by a lake or in the mountains. So just feeling the aliveness of that experience and just turning the volume up on that, just totally switching the story and really, really giving lots of juice to this happy feeling, to this happy experience, this happy, alive, hopeful, celebratory just this expansive experience. Just give it. Give it your love. Like, just what was it like in that moment? And maybe if that memory wasn't happy enough, then come up with a happier one. We started with I started with saying that this was like Harry Potter looking for when Lupin was teaching him how to cast the Patronus spell to look for a happy memory. And he came up with a happy memory, and when he cast the spell, it was a bit weak, and so he had to come up with a stronger memory. And so if your happy memory or your happy experience isn't quite like sparkly enough, then look for a sparklier one. Look for a brighter one. Look for a louder one and just give it your love. Give it your juice in this moment. Feel it. Feel that. Feel that joy. Feel that aliveness. And just notice what that is in your body. And then now let's move. So, and this time I think, 'cause I think I forgot about it the second time. So I'm sorry that I forgot about it the second time. This time moving is probably going to be a little bit easier. I think I swapped up the order by mistake at some point. So, and really, the order actually doesn't really matter that much. Um, and so I want to just want to invite us in this moment, just as we're moving, just to notice any sort of residual tension that we're holding in our bodies. So there might be contraction, there might be this bracing, there might be, just from whatever we're feeling before, the emotions, we tend to, our bodies can hold that like an armor. And so just taking this moment to wiggle that out, taking this moment to shake it out. If we were 2 or 3 or 4, we wouldn't be thinking about this. We wouldn't be caring what we looked like. We would just be moving and shaking and wiggling and letting our bodies feel good. And so just letting the body feel good right now. Just moving what the constriction, the tightness, just whatever we need right now. And then slowly, slowly settling back into stillness and just taking 3 breaths here and just noticing the aliveness in your body in this moment as you breathe, as that breath enters the body, and as the breath leaves the body, just noticing this life force that's pulsing through each of us, this spark of aliveness, this hum of aliveness. And just noticing your body making contact with the chair that's beneath you, the ground that's beneath you, and slowly bringing your attention back to the room that you're in, wherever you are, noticing the space that you're in, the quality of the light in this space, noticing the sounds around you, and slowly just bringing your attention back to our group. Just as we're kind of coming out of that exercise, I would love to just check in with everyone just to see how everyone is doing. And if you want to just put one word in the chat. So I just saw a little heart emoji. Cool. I just want to make sure that everyone is cool right now. A little thumbs up or a yes. Feeling grounded. Yay. Some hearts. Yay. Another heart. Amazing. Is anybody not feeling okay right now? Because I just want to make sure that everyone is okay before we move on. So if you're not okay, it's please put a thumbs down or put a sad face in the chat. I just want to make sure that everyone is taken care of. Okay, sweet. Someone put calm in the chat. Yay. Good, good, good. Okay, I'm so glad to hear that. So I would like us just we're going to take just a few minutes to do some writing reflection. And so just to do some writing on your own. And so as I said earlier in our session that there's two parts to this that I really wanted to bring us through this journey of experiencing our climate emotions and just finding a way to be with them and hold them in a healthier and a safer way, and then also give some energy and some attention to action, because I think action is, or just considering actions that we can take. Because I think when we, I think part of what can be hard with our emotions sometimes is that we can get stuck in them thinking that we are powerless, thinking that there's nothing that we can do, that this problem is bigger than us and that we're and and so w- what I think is really important about action is this piece of just reminding ourselves that we have choice, that we have choice every day, and they can be tiny choices, they can be bigger choices, and that we also have community. And so I do also, we're going to do a little bit of writing, and then I'm going to invite us to move into some small breakout groups. And so this first piece that I would like us to take a minute or two to just reflect on and write about is, so just sharing my screen now. So, what can you do for self care? And so, just make a list. What are things that you can do to take care of yourself, to take care of your heart, to take care of your mind, to take care of your body today, this week, this month? And I also want you to consider whether these are things that you can do alone or whether these are things that you would do with others. And there's no right or wrong to it, though often things that we can do on our own are, sometimes they can be easier for us to implement because we don't have to invite somebody else to do the thing with us. We don't have to get their agreement or their participation. So let's just take a minute just to make, and this doesn't have to be, so you can, I totally invite you to continue journaling with this in, after this session, and just for this minute, just starting a list of things that you can do for self-care. So what can you do to take care of your heart, your mind, and your body? And just beside each of those things, just write a little A for whether that's something that you would do alone, or write an O whether that's, if that's something that you would do with others. So it's just something to know when you're thinking and when you're looking for something to do. So is it something that you can just choose to do on your own, or do you have to look for other people to participate in this? So the next thing I'm going to ask us and invite us to take about a minute to write and just reflect on is, what can you do for community care? So what can you do to take care of your community? And when I think about things that we could do, and so like this distinction of things that we would might do alone or with others. And so when I think about, well, how would I do community care, but how would I do that alone? So for example, one thing that I might do alone for community care, and actually I have done this before, is I've written kind of little love and appreciation notes of um like just to write on a colorful piece of paper and did some collage on it, and just write a message, something like, you know, you're an amazing person and someone cares about you. And then I would just put those notes in public places and leave them for people. And so that only took my own participation, and whoever finds it finds it. So just think about things that you could do to take care of your community. And as you're coming up with that list of ideas and possibilities of things that you might do for community care, also write an A beside the things that you could initiate on your own, and write an O beside the things that you might initiate that would require other people to initiate. So something that you might do with others might be a potluck, for example, or um, a sharing circle. So it would require other people to actually do that together, to actually make that sort of an event happen. So things you could do for community care on your own, so alone or with others. And then the last thing that I'm going to invite us to reflect on is just start to start to create a list of things that you could do for earth care. So things that you could do to take care of our our precious and beautiful Mother Earth. What are some things that you could do for earth care? And also beside each of those things, write an A for whether it's something you would do, you could start alone, and an O for things that you might do with other people. And one thing that I just would like to point out right now is, when I think about taking action and I think about choices, that I think that so earth care, I think, is a great example. So we can do little things, right? There are small things that I can do on my own. So I could go for a walk and I could pick up garbage. I could go for a walk and I could scatter seeds for native plants in abandoned lots. Those are things I can do on my own. With others, maybe I might work together with people in the community to try and plan um, a tree planting on a piece of town land that is being unused. Maybe we want to plant a food forest there. And so just with even with those examples alone, what I think is helpful for us to consider sometimes is that, when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we think we're too small to do anything, I think sometimes we forget that that we have small choices, that there are small things that we can do. And I'm not saying that going for a walk and picking up garbage is going to be enough to change the world. And it's something. And if doing that helps like my creek that day, and it helps me feel better, then those are great things. And at the same time, the things that we do, the bigger projects, the projects we do in groups, in communities, because I think all of us that are here, we're here because we understand that this crisis is so much bigger than any one of us individually. And so when we have the capacity, when the opportunity arises, when we are able to organize with a large group and do something on a larger scale, then hopefully, because we've been supporting ourselves through lots of small things on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that when we go to do the big thing or the several big things of the year or in our lifetimes, that we have the energy, that we have the that we have the juice for it. And for those of you who are watching this recording, I would encourage you to take this time to do a little bit of journaling as well too. And so whether you are sharing with another person or whether you're journaling, so what I would ask you to reflect on is so what did you notice for yourself from the feelings and the movement exercise? So just that long exercise that we did this evening. You just take a moment, just reflect on that. What did you notice for yourself? What did you discover? Maybe you had an insight. Um, and then what is one thing that you want to do? So from this actions lists, these lists that we've started, what is one thing that you want to do, whether it's for self-care or for community care or for earth care? One thing that you want to do this week. So as we come into wrapping up, I just want to invite folks to look at the feelings list again. So I'm going to share my screen, and I promise not to leave us on a low note, though I just wanted to kind of just take this opportunity to kind of come back full circle. So these again, this was the list of the feelings when our needs are not satisfied. And so the feeling that you had so if you were with us at the beginning, this is the feeling that you had written down at the beginning. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being with kind of like a low intensity, quiet, and 10 being like really, really loud and really, really intense. So just noticing again that feeling for yourself and on a scale of 1 to 10, where you're at with that right now. And for folks who didn't do that exercise at the beginning, then you can just take a moment just to choose one feeling on this list, just related to how you feel about the climate. And so for everyone, I'm going to invite you to put in the chat your 1 or your 2 feelings, and just on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're feeling about it. And so for me, I think one of the feelings that I had chosen was anxious, and I think maybe it was like maybe at a I don't know if it was maybe at a 5 or something there in the middle-ish. And I think I'm gonna say it's like down to a 1 right now, 1 out of 10. So it's gotten quieter from our time together. So just gonna invite folks to type in the chat the feeling that the climate the climate emotion that really stands out for you right now, and just the volume of that feeling, and just put that in the chat. So burnt out around a 3 and anxious a 2 now. Cool. Mm. So unsettled, 3 out of 10, heartbroken, 4 out of 10. Anxious, 4, discouraged, anxious around a 3. Yeah, okay. Nervous around a 2. Mm. So it sounds like I think it seems like for everyone, our feelings have gotten a little bit quieter. And just in this last moment, as we wrap up, I just want to take this last opportunity just to really invite us with whatever emotions, whatever feelings that are still present with us, just just letting them be there, and taking a moment to just wiggle and shake a little bit. So I think being with our emotions in general, being with our climate emotions specifically, I think I think it's an ongoing practice. I think it's a practice sorry, I think it will be a practice of us just learning to move in and out of them. So and I think it's really healthy for us to move into them, to really connect with them, to honor because this is our experience. Feelings can our feelings are part of our aliveness, and particularly our climate emotions, they're they're really telling us that something is wrong, that they're telling us that we are connected to the world, they're telling us that we care, they're telling us that, they're prompting us, it's a reminder, it's a call to to connect with our lives in the moment and to meet the world in that moment, to respond in a different way potentially. And so I think it's just the invitation is to continue to move in and out, to move in and out of those feelings that we don't want to let them get to a 10 and stay at a 10 because then we're going to be completely overwhelmed and unable to act. And so just coming into them gently to honor them, to connect with them, and then allowing ourselves to move it through our bodies because our bodies are also that we can't hold this indefinitely. We can't stay at a volume 10 of stress or distress or anxiety indefinitely because we can't. We can't. It's not healthy for us and that doesn't that doesn't empower us to be that doesn't empower us to to participate in our lives, in our communities, to try and bring change to the world around us. And so just taking this last moment to shake and wiggle it out, and I just really want to encourage you that going forward for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, and going forward, I hope for the rest of your life that you will find ways and spaces where you can just really continue to work with this, to really honor this inner experience, and then to find ways to move through it so that because I think I firmly believe that we are all here this evening together because we care deeply about what is going on here on Mother Earth. It and so for us to be able to bring that care forward, to have that be part of our own healing, to be part of the healing of our communities, to be part of the transformation of our world, um, we have to be healthy to be able to do that, to be able to sustain that work going forward in the just through the weeks and the months and the years ahead. And so I really hope for all of us that we can really find like just really be actively working with this, moving in and just honoring, connecting, and then moving through those feelings and moving out through them. And so just in whatever ways, places, and forms that work for you, that help you, just finding ways to connect and move all of that through because I think it's going to be this is part of I think part of all of our learning to be living in such in these times, to be living in times of such intense change and such potential. And that's it's asking a lot of us. And so just really inviting ourselves to I think part of the invitation is asking to bring the best of ourselves forward. And in order to do that, we also have to be present with open hearts and open minds and healthy bodies to do that. And so that movement of being real with ourselves, of feeling what we're feeling, of honoring that, of being present with that, and then allowing that to move through so that it's not stuck in our nervous system, stuck in our minds, that we really want to be able to bring our creativity, bring our um that energy, that that happy energy in that happy experience, that happy memory, like that expansiveness, that sense of possibility, that aliveness, that joy, that yes, we wanna bring that energy to what we're creating in our communities, in our daily lives, and through our work. So thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here together, being with me, for being with yourselves, most of all. Thank you so much. Thank you.